Good morning, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving. We're excited to have you all joining us today. And today's topic is Techsgiving. So, we are going to give thanks to all things that are happening in the local government space in terms of innovation. With Thanksgiving being tomorrow, we thought it would be a great opportunity to share with you guys some of the challenges that we've overcome and the partnerships that we've created to enhance efficiency in the local government space. So today I am joined by a few familiar faces, and I am going to let them each introduce themselves. But before we pass the baton over, I do want to say make sure that if you're joining us today, you scan this QR code up in the right-hand corner. That is our 2025 innovation report. So we want to make sure that you guys catch up on all things government modernization. And then if you're joining us today, let us know what your favorite Thanksgiving dish is in the chat box. We want to hear from you, and we want to make sure that all your questions get answered, and we want to make sure that this is not boring, right? We love to interact with you guys. We love to hear from you. So just drop a comment in the comment box and let us know what your favorite Thanksgiving dish is. So without further ado, I'm passing the baton to my boss man. So Mr. Abhijit Varakar, please introduce yourself to our guests.
Good morning, and thank you for having us on the occasion. My name is Avi. I'm the founder and CEO at Avero. I started Avero in 2016 after about 12 years in local government consulting prior to that. And it's been a wild ride, but I'm really thankful for uh, having taken that chance and started the company, and also thankful for all of my teachers and mentors throughout the years that have taught me everything. I didn't come up with this um, unique business. I was taught, and I'm really thankful for the opportunities that I've got along the way, and for my team, especially those of you on this live stream with me today. So thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
Hi, Robert Kurnovich, Vice President here at Avero, and joining you from Reno, Nevada this morning. We're very grateful that we were able to get something, major ERP implementation approved by a school board out here, major step forward. So I'll probably talk about that a little bit today. I'm thankful for the fact that back about 10 years ago, someone on this call responded to an RFP I put out for an IT strategic plan, and turned out to give a really good presentation and was a really great guy. And he's the reason why I'm here today with the Vero. So we're coming up on about 10 years as to when that occurred, AV. So glad that you were so impressive that I decided to join the company later on down the road.
All right, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is David. I'm a senior consultant here at Avero Advisors. Definitely thankful for not necessarily one thing in particular, but it's the relationships that we've built with our clients and the everyday impact that we have on the citizens of their area. It truly is, sometimes can sound a little bit corny, but it really is rewarding to see actual positive impacts on the lives of not just the employees, but the citizens of the area. So thankful that I get to do that every day and get to work with all the wonderful people here at Avero.
Yeah, Lexi.
Hey everyone, I'm Lexi Webster, the proposal coordinator at Avero. I kind of have a funny roundabout story of how I ended up here. I actually worked at Avero part-time during grad school, and then I got a job out of grad school at a development district, and then things just fell into place. The timing was right. Avero had a job opening for a proposal coordinator, which had previously not been a full-time position. So I was very happy and thankful to come back, and thankful to handle the proposal process and get us new clients.
Yeah, thank you, Lexi, and thank you guys. You guys did a great job. And as you all may know, I'm Megan Seaton. I have the honor of leading business development here at Avero Advisors and leading panel discussions on our live stream. So that's been my baby for a while, and happy to have you all on. I am most thankful for my time at Avero as well. My boss really believed in me when I had no clue who Avero was, what we were doing, and what direction we were going to go. And so that was 3 years ago, and I'm very, very excited for the future and what it holds here for me at Avero Advisors. So without further ado, we're going to dive right in. please comment what your favorite Thanksgiving dish is, and please make sure that you download our 2025 report. We're very proud of the content, and we're nerds about what we put out there for you guys to stay up to date on. So first question, pretty simple, but I want to hear your all's thoughts. What is the most rewarding part about the work we've done in 2024?
Oh, mine's easy. Grateful clients. I mean, they're not obligated to tell you how much you've made an impact on their world and their staff's world. But when they do tell you that and they actually mean it, it makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
to
I
me.
would definitely say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I would definitely say working with our clients that are, tackling some of these modernization plans for the first time. It's a very, very scary environment, and seeing that, that initial concern and fear, and stepping them through the process, and kind of guiding them through the woods. That's one thing, at least across multiple projects that I've been on. It's nice to see a little bit of that comfort, and know that everything's going to be okay, as long as we go through the process correctly, and things have been very successful. So.
Can I go now, David?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you permission.
Go.
Well, clients, absolutely happy clients. Just having clients in the first place, right? I'm really thankful for opportunities that we're able to capitalize on, for opportunities that our client give us, because not all the time do we. I mean, we're a fantastic team that can produce results, but as a smaller, more nimble, fairly newer entrant to the market, it's it sometimes the clients have to take that leap of faith, because we don't have a 40, 50-year-old brand or legacy, but we don't need it because we do better work. So thankful for those clients that see that through our offerings and presentations, and all the work that we do. And as a CEO, I have to be thankful for my team. We've done a lot of work internally. I mean, this is the year we turned into consultants for ourselves, because throughout the years it's been, uh, you know, small companies say that a lot. We're consultants for others, not ourselves, when asked about what are we doing internally for our systems and our processes. And this is the year that I took it seriously, because we need to, and thankful for everyone that has stuck around despite the many reorgs and title changes and the new processes, new office space. It's been a year full of transformation for us internally. And while we've been doing transformations for our clients, doing the same internally is a lot of work. And I'm just thankful to have had the opportunity to do that with some great people on the team.
I would like to say I'm most thankful for how our business development department has grown. We have saw a ton of growth this year, a ton of good feedback on proposals, short list. We're nearing the end of the year and things are not slowing down. We are as busy as ever. And so I'm just really thankful for how we've grown and how we're going to continue to grow. And things are really, falling into place at that higher caliber of standard.
Yeah. And I would say I'm thankful for the change, both internally and externally, that we're providing for our clients. There's, as AB mentioned, there's been a lot of internal change. And by the way, we just moved offices. And so that's change within itself. We've all had to pivot this year, but in a good way. Reevaluated, where we are versus where we're going, and what we need to do to move forward and continue that growth. So that's why you've seen a lot more live streams, a lot more people on our live streams, some 2025, the reporting and insights workshops. We have great plans for you all in 2025 to do more of that, because we really do want to hone in on that trusted advisor and being that in this space. Someone that you can rely on and trust when there's so much noise in the technology and modernization world. So I'm very appreciative of the change that we have embraced this year, but also that we're preparing for in 2025. So without further ado, let's ask the next question. Can you all share a specific example or a client story where we've made a real community impact or change?
I'll go. I mean, our
Yeah.
hometown, Blount County, Tennessee, where it all started. Um, we did a lot of work internally for the client. They were in a place where all of their technology was super old. Their processes were old. Their way of running technology was kind of old school, and for good reason, right? They've always done it this way. They've never asked for more money. A conservative government and their staff is always uh, careful about asking for more money, but it gets to an inflection point where if you don't keep up with capital
Mhm.
expenditures, then you have a huge tech debt that you have to take care of. So we did an IT strategic plan for them. We shepherded them through uh, an internal modernization effort that took 2 to 3 years. But at the end of the day, they were able to do things like fiber optic connections between their 21 different buildings. And what I'm really proud of from that project and relationship that is ongoing today is that we were able to connect the county and the two major cities within this county to a fiber optic ring that hadn't been done before, right? So now they could really leverage each other's technologies, really leverage each other's public safety organizations and school systems and share data pretty quickly. And it had a real impact that, it's not very visible to the general public, but all of the services they're receiving from better traffic signals to better communication between the public safety organizations to um, access to high-speed internet was made possible through that project. So you never know when an IT strategic plan for a town or a city can turn into something that's really impactful and meaningful directly to the citizens of that region. It's not always just internal ERPs and internal systems that get improved.
Yeah, the one comes to mind for me is when I joined Avero, I was project managing a large project for a housing authority, and 6 months in, a thing called the pandemic hit, and they shut down for at least a good 2 weeks while they were trying to figure out what to do. Um, we were able to be right there in helping them make the decisions, especially with technology, but also with processes to how do you get that housing authority back open? It's a necessary service. People need to be housed. Landlords needed to be paid because of the economic situation that was looming, especially landlords needed to be paid every 2 weeks rather than every month so that they could stay open and still be providing properties and not exit the system. Because if a lot of people don't know, a lot of housing authorities depend upon existing landlords to be able to house a lot of their people. It's not just about buying up property and then putting people on those properties. You have to have a good base of landlords locally you can depend on. Um, we were right there. I won't say we were absolutely instrumental in spinning that up, but we were there doing a lot of work and working with their executive staff and determining how are we going to make this happen? How are we, for the first time, going to allow housing specialists to work remotely because they had to in the state they were in. They were not allowing people to come in person. How do you suddenly have a housing specialist that used to spend their time sitting at a front desk in a housing authority taking people coming in the door with
Mhm.
documents and income statements and all sorts of medical and tax things that you needed to do to apply for housing, or to even for landlords who wanted to come in and register to be able to provide housing? That was a very interesting experience because a lot of our customers prior to that wouldn't even consider doing remote work and the possibility of holding meetings over Zoom. So the nimbleness and flexibility that we had in being able to work with them every single day when something new popped up and helping them to solve that was really impressive in the long run because it allowed them to open up within less than 30 days, I believe, and continue operations almost seamlessly.
Yeah, definitely. An example for me is, one that's it's currently an ongoing project, but it's a probation department out in California that uses, it's kind of a little bit the same as far as other local governments. A lot of, antiquated technology, but a lot of their processes are broken between multiple systems. I mean, I could count at least 4 or 5 off the top of my head, and the inflow of data that they need from the court system. Sometimes, they'll have to actually manually read documents. So we're currently going through that process, and I'm just really excited for the future of them because no longer hopefully will it be getting paper off of a printer and actually reading through system. It'll be systems talking to each other. That flow of data and integration amongst other improvements that'll be had. So a little bit of foreshadowing there. Like I said, that's still an ongoing work in progress, but that's going to be really exciting the day that comes.
No, those are all great examples. And Lexi, I think we could probably share the story of Lexi and I have really done a lot of work and a lot of content around how to get better responses from your RFPs. I think we've done 3 or 4 lives, and there's some blogs out there. And Lexi and I are very passionate about that topic, and we're actually giving a presentation next week, small plug, to the Intimacy Purchasing Association. So we're very excited about that. But I would like to think that our content is really helping those who are in procurement. You guys are listening, you're asking good questions. And as I mentioned, we're very passionate about that topic. And, we've seen better RFPs here and there, but one in particular, I do want to talk about. So it was almost a year-long process, right? And we won't name the organization, but they issued an RFP for, what was the title? It was like something really off the wall, like technology.
Software and hardware consulting services.
Yes. And so going into it, we were like, how are we going to respond? Because it was all over the place. And I know you guys have heard us tell this story before, but to make a very long story short, we were lucky enough to get awarded this project. And going into the project, they had released an RFP for ERP. And they only received, I think, 1 to 2 responses. And so they call us immediately and say, hey, I think this is where we could utilize you guys. So we were able to go in, do some great work, do some process mapping, come up with some requirements, and help them craft a better RFP to get better responses from vendors. So we're very excited about that project. Lexi, I don't know if you have anything to add, but I'm very excited where procurement is going for 2025.
Yes, I completely echo everything Megan said. I think the tides are turning, and people are realizing if you don't put out a good RFP, you won't have great responses, and some entities don't get any responses at all sometimes. So you've really got to compete for those responses, and it just makes it better for them and vendors alike to have an in-depth RFP.
Yes. And our session next week, just another small plug, will be recorded, and we will be posting that on all of our channels. So let's go to the comments really quick. A lot of great comments here. Kyler says she's an apps girl. Me too, Kyler. Let's load the plate up with, mac and cheese, green beans. I'm here for it. Yep. KDB says mashed potatoes forever. And
I agree with that.
Yeah. KDB, are you a mashed potatoes and gravy fan, or just mashed potatoes with all the butter? Let us know in the comments. And then we do have a question. Robert, how did COVID change technology for good in city government?
Yeah, they had to face things that they didn't want to face, either because they felt like they never were going to need to be able to leverage remote services. It's we forget the state of local government pre-COVID. It's an environment where you're having problems attracting staff because there was no remote work option for most people. It just simply wasn't it just wasn't heard of. And even though there were a lot of apps out there, such as Teams and Zoom and a few other ones, local government really had not embraced it, either because of the cost or the change involved, or the simple concept of, well, I'm never going to have a situation where I had people out of the office. And this even applied to like council members who, in a lot of cases, are still phoning in through a little phone patch that was piped into the audio for the council chambers. They hadn't even embraced the concept of bringing a council member in via Zoom to be able to attend a public meeting. So that person either called in on their phone or they simply were absent for that meeting. So drastic, but in a good way, because they were able to embrace a lot of that change and tackle a lot of those things that they had a lot of fear about. And it turns out everything worked out okay. Some of these were not permanent solutions because there still is an expectation from government that if I go down to City Hall to pay my permit or something, someone is going to physically be there. But there's also a whole generation for the past 20 years that's been expecting to transact business with the city, just like they do with their bank and with Amazon, or a variety of ways that you've just been able to buy things online or through an app for the past 10 plus years. Local government came kicking and screaming into that, and then when they implemented those things, they realized a lot of those concerns not were invalid, but they certainly were unfounded, or were founded on a lot of things that were not actually the case. So drastic change, all change for the better. And it kind of scary to think that it took something like that to precipitate that. But at the same time, good job, local government and state government, for embracing that and finding the path forward. It really makes a difference now. They still struggle with staffing, but at least you're able to attract people and compete with the private sector that would only allow remote work. Now local government can provide that service, whether it's just a couple of days of the week, or in some cases a completely remote job, such as like the CIO, is a possibility now. So now you can recruit in other job markets besides your local ones and really capture great talent that otherwise was not going to move to your location. They can stay where they are, and you're able to bring in someone with lots of experience who can leverage things in your community without having to be physically located in the community.
Yeah, I mean, I think that embracing remote work has been, or anything remote has been, a positive, right? You prior to the pandemic, you couldn't even remotely propose that we're gonna meet virtually. Zoom was around, Teams was around, Skype. People kind of didn't prefer that, right? So it's positive that suddenly local governments adopted those technologies, but it's also gone too far, right? If I may
You took my
be
comment.
thankful
Thank you. Yeah.
for not thankful for one thing, it's remote sales meetings. You're choosing a consultant. You're going to pay 5, 6 to 7 figures for a large modernization effort. You're picking software that you're going to spend $15 to $20 million on over the next 5 to 10 years. Meet with them in person. Meet with us in person. We would love to get to know you and have a proper sales opportunity, right? I mean, we look good on camera, but it is 100 times better when you have us fly into your location on our dime to have a proper meeting with somebody you're going to have to spend the next 4 to 5 years with. So that's the only downside. It's gone too far, but I'll take an opportunity over not having one.
Yes.
I'm
And
done writing about it.
as I mentioned, you beat me to the punch here. I think Zoom has been around for too long. I'm done with Zoom. We were on a presentation a few weeks ago, and we literally saw someone falling asleep on camera. So, and then sometimes we're just presenting to a black screen because no one wants to be on camera, and that's very awkward for us as well, because we can't read you and how you're accepting the information that we're given. But just to reiterate AV's point, let us come in person. We want to meet you. We want to understand your organization, and then meet all of the people who are going to be involved in this multi-million-dollar project. So thank you, AV, for sharing that. Any other comments on this question?
Yeah. No, I mean, sorry, go ahead, Lexi.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about balance. And I think perhaps, local governments can improve in a lot of areas, but I actually think the balance of, remote versus in person is something they do pretty well overall. Yes, there are lots of processes you can do on your cell phone now. You don't have to go there. But when you do go there, you can most of the time expect to see someone. So I feel like, local governments have kind of found a good balance of catering, especially to the, younger generation wanting to do things on their cell phones and such, but also a lot of them are still in office. There may be a couple of remote days of the week, or they may work, 10 hours Monday through Thursday, something like that. But for the most part, you can always find someone in a city department in person.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think one thing COVID allowed us to do is take a step back and provide our organizations with options, right? We don't have to continue to do things the same way.
Yeah.
So, Dave B.
Yeah, I should
maybe
have
some-
continued interrupting Lexi because she actually stole the words right out of my mouth. It's definitely about striking that balance. The remote work and the ability to do that is fantastic, but also there is no replacement for the human connection, actually building that relationship. I like to tell my clients, until you see me in person, you don't even know if I exist and I don't know if you exist. So I love to go out and meet people in person, build that relationship and actually have that communication because after that, the remote meetings get a little bit easier. I know you, you know me, but as of right now, I'm just a face on a camera. So definitely striking that balance is an important part.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Kyler, for that question. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the collaboration efforts we see, particularly in our projects, right? We collaborate, amongst our peers, with our vendors, with our implementation teams, with our clients, right? With the key stakeholders. So I think there's a lot of gratitude to give for collaboration. So my question to you all is, who are the unsung heroes in our modernization projects?
It's to me it's the non-management staff, CIOs, CFOs get the glory and the blame, by the way, for when things go sideways. But there's the decision-making layer that says we're going to do this project, ERP, what have you, and fund it and manage it from a high level that people that we interact with as executives. But then there is the day-to-day work. It's the accounting clerk, it's the payables clerk, it's the purchasing agent, it's people that are keeping current systems running. It's the one person that knows the AS400 backups in and out, and if they leave, things fall apart. It's those people that keep the world turning around as you're doing modernization and all of these wonderful new things. It's easy to overlook the contributions of the people that are doing their day jobs and doing projects. And we've all seen this, right? It comes down to one or two people. In the end, it's crunch time. We're not going to make go live. We're going to start paying the vendor because we didn't move quickly enough. A, there's this crack team that shows up in the end at the client side because as consultants we can only take them so far as doing their homework's concerned. But it's those people. It's those people that show up after hours on weekends to push this through and make a go live happen. That don't get the glory, right? The executives end up in the newspapers looking good or bad, mostly good, but it's the ground level forces, it's the line workers that pull it all together and pull it through.
Yeah, I think it's for me, it's the process managers and the process owners. They're the ones. There tend to be middle management tier inside a department. They get caught between what's coming at them from above, from senior leadership in the organization or department, and the end users as well. But at the same time, they actually are responsible for certain processes because they're in charge of a team or division or a section that is committed to doing these one or two things. They actually, at the end of the day, have the most influence as to how this goes. And it's very tricky because if they're not on board with that change, they can do a lot to sabotage the success of a new system, even in the stages where we come in just to figure out, what do you need? What processes need to be changed? How do we get you that system that allows you to move forward, but doesn't disrupt everything that you do for the negative? And they are, a majority of the time, surprisingly open and embracing of change, which I think I'm very thankful for, is the biggest change I've seen in local government. We don't have to fight those type of people anymore. And usually you find out a month or two down the road that, yeah, they're the ones who are sabotaging the success of their team by saying, you know what, I don't like the way this is going to be set up in the new system. Let's just not use it, and then we'll figure it out or use our leverage to get something different. You rarely see that anymore. And they're the ones who, again, get caught between these pressures from above and below. And at the end of the day, they're the ones who actually save the change management on the project, and they do. They've been doing an outstanding job on that in recent years.
Yeah, I completely agree with Robert's comment. I mean, I've even saw it from the business development side and what RFPs are going out on the street. Government seems a lot more willing to implement those changes now, where they used to be really resistant. It used to just be the IT manager leading it. No one else knew what was going on. No one else cared what was going on. And they really, weren't happy about the project. And like Robert said, it could really, derail the efforts of the project. So I think now we're really seeing people, wanting to improve on that. I mean, AI is such a hot topic. And just a year ago, governments, for the most part, were very scared of AI and they didn't use it. They didn't want to talk about it. Like it may take their jobs. That just wasn't something they were interested in. And now every potential client we talk to, whether it's for an AI project or not, they always bring up AI when we meet with them now, because they're realizing it's here and it's here to stay. And, they've got to embrace it to a certain point. So I'm seeing that there is a positive shift toward wanting to embrace modernization.
Yeah, I agree, Lexi. And I think the unsung hero is whoever made the decision to go from snail mailing in a proposal to electronic submission. So that's my 2 cents since you mentioned RFPs and AI. So
We love snail mail.
That's right. That's right. Get away from the snail mail. Dave, did you have a thought?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, definitely, as AV said, it is 110% a team effort, not only on the client side, but also on the consultant side. Collaboration is very, very important within Avero here. Every single project's unique. No client is the same as the other, so everything can be unique. But give a little bit of love to the techies as well for the client side.
Yes.
For one of our public safety clients that I work with, we have a resource. He's been, very, very valuable and double checking, as far as data migration is concerned. We talk about these, 4 main modules, but there's also 15 others that maybe we didn't talk about in the past couple months or not commonly used. So going through and double checking and making sure that everything is done correctly and set up for success has been a very, very valuable experience. So very much a team effort, but give a little bit of shout out to the techies as well in this.
Yeah. And I do want to shout out our vendor partners and friends.
Mhm.
While we are software agnostic, we do find it in our best interest for both ourselves and our clients that we serve to remain good partners with our vendor community. I know that we don't like to shout them out all the time, but I think this year has been a turning point in the relationships that we've built with our vendor partners. We're able to share insight and hear what they're hearing in the market and discuss with them what our clients' needs are. And so it's become this beautiful collaboration. So again, that we can remain that trusted advisor in this space. So shout out to all my vendor friends out there, and thank you all for your support this year. We had a question that I wanted to pose. Kyler asks, how do you ensure these heroes don't get burned out in a transformation project?
There's a number of things that can be done to address that, and to tie that into what we were just discussing. ERP projects really are about bringing out the insecurities everyone has. I know some people have heard me talk about this endlessly, but I talked about it again with a client yesterday. You're throwing a lot of change at people. You're throwing a lot of unknowns. You're throwing a lot of, they've never been through an ERP project before, so they don't know what to expect. And it's not that they're resistant to the change. They're actually fully embracing what's coming because they want things to be better. But as human beings, we can't help to wonder, is this going to change my job? Are they suddenly going to find out that I might not be the best at doing this, and so this ERP project is going to show my lack of skills in this? Am I not going to be able to keep up with the training? Is the system going to change enough every year that I'm going to have a hard time keeping up? I think if you constantly, and this is what I was talking about with the client yesterday as we prepare for kickoff, is how do we want to deal with that messaging right from the get-go and alleviate those fears? Because people will be coming into these meetings excited about a new ERP system, but wondering what is going to happen when training gets here. Is it going to be long enough? Is it going to be done in the right amount of time? And again, what if I can't keep up? I think one of the ways you avoid burnout and you keep people engaged is that you just deal with these simple, basic human emotions that is typical for everyone in every situation like this. Even a CFO who's just begging for a brand new system has their own insecurities as to what is coming. I think if you talk honestly about those, you keep the messaging correct and you alleviate those fears, that's how you get people engaged. That's how you prevent, weird rumors starting because it took 5 minutes for a training session to start because there's a problem with the computers. Now you've got end users going into the CIO's office saying this system is terrible. They couldn't get it up and running. This go live is going to fail. If you deal with a lot of that messaging up front and acknowledge some of these simple things, it tends to go a lot easier over the life cycle of the project. And you keep people engaged, you keep people bought in, and you control a lot of things that the rumor mill might be starting up on. You're able to address those immediately of no, everyone will be receiving 2 weeks of training. You will have it right before go live. You will have the chance to go back and get some additional training before go live if you struggle in this area. Keeping that messaging consistent, talking about those things is one of the ways we like to help eliminate or reduce that burnout.
Yeah, and I would just like to say we try to make these projects fun, from the consultant point of view. I know these projects aren't always fun, but we do try to keep everyone engaged, newsletters, things like that, like not just always meetings where people are uninterested. We try to shake it up and keep people involved. And we realize that burnout, has huge potential to happen. And these projects take years a lot of times. But we really do try to keep everyone on board and address when we see those burnout signs.
I think it really boils down to relationship building and the relationships that we build with our clients, and whether or not you're utilizing a consultant for your IT project. You should have an internal team who become these cheerleaders, right? Who are cheering for the success of the project. Now, those individuals can become burnout as well, but I think it all goes back to relationship building, those relationships you build with your internal team, with your consultants, with your vendors, and making sure that you remember why you're doing this in the first place, and measure backwards, right? What are some of the things that is going to change, not only for your organization, but for the citizens in the communities that you serve? And just remembering that. Also, to Lexi's point, changing the way you do things, changing the way you run meetings, changing your communication mechanisms. Don't keep everything the same. I mean, some of these projects are 3 years long. No one wants to do a Zoom meeting for every single communication that needs to be had. So as Lexi mentioned, we do a good job with newsletters, and also we use Loom to record little 1-minute videos so that we can check in with our clients. But ultimately, that all boils down to relationship building and making sure that your clients have a shoulder to cry on, or someone they can pick up the phone and call when something goes wrong. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, just over communicate. In all honesty, over communicate with your consultants, over communicate with your vendor. Make sure that you have a good, solid plan set in place, and set realistic deadlines as well. This workload is going to be very, very heavy. You don't want to all of a sudden come up and like, I have 1 week to do an insurmountable amount of work. So over communication throughout the project is definitely something that'll help with that burnout, and the proper planning process of it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to go to the comments really quick. I know you guys probably see me on video, like looking to my right. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss your comments. But Christina Webb is one of our senior consultants here at Avero Advisors, and she has done a great job with the city of Knoxville. And so she commented, she said, we're coming up on the anniversary, 1-year anniversary with the city of Knoxville, and the work we've accomplished and the trust built inspires me to connect face-to-face as often as possible with the clients I'm not able to work on site with as frequently, because it allows for authentic mindfulness checks to be to protect the project from burnout and hidden signals of scope creep. Thank you, Christina. Does anyone have anything to add to her comment?
Authentic mindfulness check. That's a good.
It
We
is.
did a whole session about that with Judith
Yes.
on
A reset.
on mindful resets and mindful checks. I think that brings a good point, right? With how quickly projects go and all of the moving parts, it's important to be centered. I think it's one of the things we bring to the table, as Christina pointed out, is that third party perspective, not just from a tech standpoint, but also we're not from the organization, right? So we have a unique perspective and we can cut through the noise and, sort of have a higher level view of where the project's going. And at times we've had to do that deliberately on projects where we stop the chaos and say, okay, let's just go regroup and go back to the root of why we decided to go down this path anyway. Because if you forget that piece, then the technology is not going to save you because you're going to not remember obviously where you're headed and why you took this on and why you fought this battle with funding and getting the votes at the legislature and things like that. So it's really important to keep an eye on why you set out to do anything in the first place.
Yep. And Kyler says, what are your thoughts on greater transparency? Seems like new technology has enhanced government transparency and boosted citizen engagement.
Yeah, always a great. It's a great way to deal with your engagement with your citizens, both actually during the ERP process, being able to be transparent as to where you're going, how long this is going to take, when are citizens going to see results on these things, as well as ERP's ability to solve transparency solutions that exist in an organization. I think this is one of those areas that definitely is unique to every client. It depends upon their situation, the political environment, who's on the governing body, who's their mayor, who's their police chief, who's leading a lot of their citizens' voices, who's showing up to council meetings to voice negativity on a regular basis. It has to be looked at in a very unique way as to how the organization wants to control and deal with that. But transparency absolutely has to be there. You're dealing with public funds. You're dealing with public trust. You have to lead with that. You have to get a flavor or a taste as to how you want to use this technology to address that with your citizenry. And keeping a focus on that is a great way of, I don't want to say keeping you out of trouble, but what happens is when you have misinformation or no information, you let people just make their own assumptions and they will run wild with that. So you need to have clear messaging and a strategy for dealing with the transparency, but also the immediacy of the transparency. It's not just about providing that information, it's providing it in a timely manner and very quickly and in a seamless way so people can access the data directly and not feel like it's being filtered through 5 people, which then makes them question, what am I getting? Am I getting like a fully redacted copy because 7 people have gone through and marked it up? These are things you have to consider with the transparency, but there are a lot of great solutions and methods for dealing with that help you address what you need to do for your organization that is also specific for your organization.
Well, in transparency also, it has different flavors, right? We've seen places where they were so transparent that they had a completely open portal into their back-end AS400 ERP system. Thankfully, nothing happened, right? We were able to catch that and patch it up and protect them. But that's one end of it where you don't really think about it and keep everything open. And then how much do you want to reveal to your customer or to your citizens, right? It depends on, like Robert said, the administration and what their stance on transparency is. But for sure, you need to have dashboarding and public visibility into how taxpayer dollars are being spent. Maybe not at the transactional level, but if I'm the citizen of a city or a county, I want to know at a general level where tax dollars are going.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Transparency has been, the technology, how much it's come, at least far as public safety is concerned. Transparency is a massive thing. A lot of citizens, they want to see, is their community getting safer? What's going on in the community? And with, the power of that modern technology, reports are easily generated, sometimes auto-generated. Citizen, records requests are handled much more efficiently. It's not always, as much of a headache where you have to, let's go to this file room, let's find this file cabinet, this exact piece of paper, scan it, make a copy, this, that, the other. Sometimes it's an automated report that comes out. And it also allows, that transparency also allows a lot of times for citizens to go through an online portal to report something. Maybe it's not something necessarily that you have to call 911 for, but it's something that, it's just more data that goes into these, police departments, sheriff's departments, and everything else. So transparency has been something that's been very, very beneficial for public safety for sure.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking from business development standpoint, probably like Megan here, transparency with their RFP process. It's really hard when, they're under this calm of silence and they want to answer a single question about the RFP. You would be surprised. Sometimes there's not even a contact on an RFP of anyone to get in touch with regarding questions or clarifications. So I think just greater transparency. Like Robert and AV said, it's all about a balance. But in that case, it's kind of like the more the better. You'll get better responses if you're being transparent and have open communication channels.
Yeah, and even sorry, Robert, even before the RFP comes out, right? Transparency within your own organization. If you're taking on a modernization project, then your IT department shouldn't be the only one writing that scope of work for you. There should be executive alignment across the board and collaboration and transparency of what you all are trying to achieve. So maybe we need to do another session just on transparency. I think that'd be great. Great question, Kyler. Sorry, Robert, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just going to add quickly, the balance that government has to strike is you cannot leave a vacuum and then allow other sources to fill in that information. So it's a very delicate balance. It's very difficult to solve, but you have to work towards making sure that you have credible information available and don't leave it for someone else to make their own assumptions or fill in with their own data, which is probably inaccurate. So a real tough challenge, especially with AI, another topic that we can tie these two together in a future session, just full of knowledge and information, but also full of landmines you have to navigate.
That's right. That's right. Well, before we wrap up today, guys, I did want to talk a little bit about growth. As consultants, we also learn from the projects that we complete, right? In the communities that we serve, we grow with our clients. So what is one thing that you've learned from a project that you've worked on this year?
Oh, for me, it's the most grateful thing in my environment is when a client is willing to have a tough conversation with me. That makes all the difference in the world, whether it's a concern about a variable that's popping up on the project or just something that's not even related to our scope, but they're like, you guys have done something like this. Let me run something by you. I love that all day long. That makes a huge difference with me. When I was on the other end of the table, I liked having clear, transparent, honest discussions because that's how you got things solved. So I really appreciate the clients coming to me in a timely manner and asking questions or wanting to have a conversation about something either related to the project or completely unrelated. That's why I'm here. That's why I really enjoy doing this, is our ability to help you and leverage our experience to help you make a good decision.
Yeah. One thing I definitely say I would learn through, this year, and it's very, very common, but it never ceases to surprise me, just the resiliency of our clients. Sometimes when we walk in, we see how bad the current system is and how much work they're having to do, and they're still excelling for their citizens. That's truly amazing to see, just because it's just the human will, honestly, to get this done, to serve their communities. And it's an absolute blessing to make their jobs a little bit easier so they can focus on other strategies to continue improving quality of life for their area. But definitely our clients' will is something that will surprise me every single time, just because the amount of challenges they overcome is, very, very impressive.
Yeah, and I said this earlier, but I think the growth I'm seeing a lot is sorry, embracing different technologies. You know, they're embracing modernization efforts and they're not near as hostile to it as they used to be. Of course, you can always find hostility if you're looking for it. But governments overall are they want to modernize. They want to attract, new residents to their area. And you're not going to do that if you're still doing ways the way you've done it since 1940. So I think we're really seeing a change in that. And I'm grateful for that.
Well,
Well
what
said.
I've learned is, and I'll look inwards, right? I've learned that, um, you can have the biggest resumes and the most experience in the world, and if you don't have the heart for um, serving your customers, if you don't have the heart and the value for putting them first, putting learning at the top of your uh, things that you want to do with your daily life, it's really hard to be a consultant. And so I've learned that. I'm thankful then because of our philosophy of how we've built Avero and how we've um, built the team and how we treat our clients. When that shows through, it's very, very gratifying. So we talk about this a lot. This year we've talked a lot about going back to the basics and just going back to those Lego bricks that have brought us to this point and leaning into things like that. So um, really grateful for all of those learnings, which may have seemed like failures or stumbling blocks and sleepless nights and heated arguments. They've helped us um, shed our skin and grow into who we are today. And Eric Weintraub is in the comment box
Yeah.
uh, saying that new thinking is good for the market. Yeah, that is what we aim to bring because we see that the market is a little stale in terms of um, how services like ours are being offered, and for the most part, there's a disservice being done to our the client base. So yeah, we're here and we're thankful to have had that realization. Thank you, Eric.
Yes, thank you, Eric. I was going to call you out, but AV, of course, beat me to it. Thank you so much for joining our lives and supporting us. I wanted to say, I think just building off of what AV said, I agree with everything he said. But one of the things I think I've learned in particularly is that our clients want people they can trust and people that can talk to them like human beings. And what I mean by that, sometimes it's easy when you're working in the technology space to, start talking in technical terms to people and to prospects about what we do and how we can help them. And I found myself, falling into that a little bit. I found myself thinking that I needed to be, this techie. Even in some of the videos that you guys have seen on LinkedIn and in our sales presentations. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that it's okay just to be Megan and describe things in Megan's way. And I think really that's true for anyone in our organization. I think we're very talking about transparency. I think we're very transparent in leaning into who we are and knowing that we don't have to be these techies as long as we focus in on our clients and building the relationship. So I don't know, guys, I'm in my feels today with this Techsgiving. I love this. I'm excited for 2025, and I'm very excited for you all who view our lives every Wednesday. We go live at 10 a.m. We're happy to have all of your comments and all of your questions. If we did not get to them today, we will go back in and comment and answer. And we'd love to hear from you all. We are live, like I said, every Wednesday, but we're also live on all platforms, Instagram, social media, which is Instagram. So sorry, YouTube, Facebook, and X. I think AV has an X account. So please reach out. We want to hear from you. If you have a question, we'd love to hear it. We're happy to answer it. And happy Thanksgiving, guys. I hope you all enjoy time with your families this week and are able to relax and enjoy what life has to give. So Thank you guys for joining me today. Any other comments as we wrap up?
Thank
No,
everybody.
yeah, thank you. And thank you, David, for letting me speak.
Of course.
No, really thankful for everything that's come our way this year, and for the team, and our clients. And again, it's a good time to reflect, sit back, and enjoy time with the family. And